clubs, shrunken heads from New Guinea, and various and sundry other artifacts drawn from the four corners of the earth, now numbering close to 2 million in total. When they opened their museum to the public in 1799, it proved to be very popular with visitors and locals alike, and they were able to use the proceeds raised by this museum to support the widows and children of their members who failed to return from their voyages at sea. A very novel approach to financing a very necessary charity more than 2 centuries ago. Now in just a moment, we'll be making a brief stop at the trolley depot.
That's why I plan to get off.
You'll be leaving us here. Will anyone else be leaving us at the trolley depot?
I'm planning to get off here.
Yep.
All I'm planning to get off here.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I'm just planning to get off here all this time.
Take care.
Yep. Planning to get off here all this time.
I hope I don't get like that.
I don't know.
That's sad.
Now coming up on the left side of the trolley here, this first building with the stairway out front is the Essex Bank Building, which was built by the noted architect Charles Goldfinch, who was also responsible for building the State House in Boston back in 1811. This building was also home to the first Boys and Girls Club in the nation until several years ago when they moved to larger quarters here in the city. In just a moment, we'll be entering Front Street. And when we do, I'd like to call your attention to the building on the left side of the street, the first one. I'm sure many of you folks remember the famous escape artist, Harry Houdini. Well, Houdini was touring this area in the early part of the 20th century when he was challenged by our local police chief to escape from the jail, which at that time was located in this building on the left. Houdini was locked in a cell in the 3rd floor in his underwear. He had shackles on his feet, 3 pairs of handcuffs on his wrist, and 15 minutes later, he emerged from that building completely clothed, no shackles on his feet. The only handcuffs he wore attached him to a prisoner that he had borrowed from an adjacent cell, much to the anger of our local police chief at the time. Now, directly in front of the trolley, across the street there, is the Joshua Ward House. Joshua Ward was a wealthy merchant here in Salem, and in 1784, he built this home for his family. 5 years later, when George Washington visited the area, he was an overnight guest of Joshua Ward, so George Washington actually spent the night in that building you see there before you. And you can too, because it's now a hotel. Also on the left, we have this statue of Samantha in the television show Bewitched, which was very popular in the 60s. Elizabeth Montgomery was the actress that played the lead role, Samantha, who was a witch. And the series actually came here to Salem to film a number of episodes when their set burned down in Hollywood. When the cable station TV Land acquired the rebroadcast rights in the 90s, they presented Salem with the statue that you see there up on the corner. It's since become very popular with folks to have their selfies taken with the statue. We're now entering Lynn Street, and our next stop will be at the Witch Dungeon Museum. The Witch Dungeon uses the actual trial transcripts along with live actors to recreate portions of the witchcraft trials which were held here in 1693. They also have a recreation of the Salem jail in their basement, as the original jail no longer exists here in Salem, having been torn down as recently as 1957.
Yeah.
Will anyone be leaving us for the dungeon today?
I don't want to go to the dungeon.
I'm too young. I'm kidding.
No? No one is leaving us for the dungeon? Okay. Now our next stop will be at the Witch House. And the Witch House was built in 1642 by Jonathan Corwin, who was a wealthy merchant here in Salem. The Colwins were the wealthiest Puritan family in the area at the time, and Jonathan was a cousin of the sheriff, George Colwin. Although Jonathan was a merchant by trade, he was one of 3 individuals chosen to serve as judges on the witchcraft tribunals. And the home where he lived before, during, and after these events took place will be coming up on the right side of the trolley here in just a moment. Now, the witch house is open for tours, and it does present an excellent example of how a wealthy upper-class family would have lived here in Salem in the late 16 and early
Go in there one day.
1700s.
Yeah, you will.
Will anyone be leaving us for the witch house today?
No.
No?
It's itchy.
Okay. Directly to our left is the Wesley Methodist Church, and the windows that you can see there, many of them are Tiffany glass from Tiffany in New York. Unfortunately, you can't see it very well in daytime, but when the church is illuminated, you can get a very good picture of it.
Witch house.
This is the witch house here on the right. Now, normally, we would make a brief stop at the Ropes Mansion for anyone coming from or going to the witch house. And the Ropes Mansion is coming up on the right side of the trolley here.
That's Allison's house.
Yes.
For those of you who have seen the movie Hocus Pocus, do you recognize the home here on the right? It was identified as Allison's home in the movie, and it was where they held the Halloween party where Allison's family was throwing their annual Halloween bash. Unfortunately, Ramon and I had to work that evening, so we were not able to make it, but we're both looking forward to it this year. Right, Ramon? Provided the pandemic is over.